Hi, I'm Asa Pefferman. I'm a Principal Design Manager at Microsoft. A Principal Design Manager leads a team of designers. I specifically lead a team that focuses on a platform that a bunch of our other products are based on. So like if you call a plumber and they dispatch a plumber out to you, or even like tracking donations for nonprofits, they just track customer relationships basically. And then we also do a bunch of like low-code, no-code stuff where people that don't know how to code can create apps easily so that businesses can do a whole lot more without having to train necessarily developers and stuff like that. In college, I was gonna do psychology, and I ended up playing a bunch of Ultimate Frisbee and then getting a job or an internship at the Ultimate Frisbee apparel company here in Seattle. And I taught myself how to do Photoshop and Illustrator, and that went into like tournament apparel design and a bunch of other stuff. After that, I switched my major over to design, and then started to focus on like the more digital side of things, because at that point at Western, which is where I went, you could focus on graphic design or new media or print, and it seemed like new media was the way to go. So focused on like websites and motion graphics, and then got a job out of college at a motion graphics place. And then after working in motion graphics, I eventually started to move over into the UX design. Worked at a nonprofit for a few years, and then ended up getting a contract gig at Microsoft to do like small advertising experiences on the Xbox. And then from there, I ended up leaving that to do another contract gig at Microsoft that was more focused on like enterprise level application design. When I became a full-time employee at Microsoft, you go through like the employee orientation at the main campus, and that was really fun. Everyone's walking around all starry-eyed, like, oh, this huge campus and everything's super nice, and you know, all the lawns are manicured, and that was very exciting for me. Typical day at my job starts with checking my calendar, or usually the night before I check my calendar to see how early I need to be up. And that depends on whether I'm working with India or Ireland or the UK or Israel. We've got teams all over the world. And then eventually take my first meeting. I have a lot of meetings now that I'm a manager. I don't do very much actual design anymore. I've got a team of 6 designers. They're all UX designers. And they're all super talented, smart people. So it's really fun to work with people that you actually enjoy having meetings with and talking to. We work mainly, like we work on a specific product, so we don't do huge projects necessarily, but recently there's a big push towards AI, and so we were working on implementing the Microsoft Copilot experiences into our product. When I transitioned to being a manager, it was a slow transition at first. I was sort of like a half designer, half manager for 3 designers. And that was kind of a gentle transition, and that was fine because I was still doing design work, and I was then also helping manage those other 3 designers. Then my boss ended up leaving, and that was pretty stressful because then the team got bigger, and I was doing a lot more managing and having to talk to people higher up that I wasn't used to talking to. So that was pretty stressful. And it took a little while for me to get used to having those conversations with people that I had previously been like, you know, what if they ask for something, I drop whatever I'm doing and go do it. And now I'm like pushing back on their asks, or I'm saying like, hey, maybe we have to do it a different way than you think instead of just doing whatever they say. So the corporate culture at Microsoft's great, actually. I think it's one of those mature tech companies that really respects work-life balance, which is one of the reasons that I'm happy there. It's definitely not like a startup necessarily, where you can end up working a ton of late hours. And as a manager, if I find that someone on my team is working a lot of late hours, I try to figure out why and make them stop. I think around 2008 or whenever Satya, the CEO, took over, he really changed the corporate culture. And so it's a lot less competitive within the company with, you know, people trying to view everyone as their competition, and it's a lot more collaborative, and everyone's focused on the growth mindset. If someone was trying to get into the UX design career path, I would say it depends on where they are today. If you can, go to a college that has a design program and get a degree in that area, or learn about design and the history of graphic design. But there's also a bunch of certification programs that you can do. And there's also a ton of online courses as well. It is one of those industries where it's a lot less about your education, a lot more about your portfolio. Actually having done good work and being able to demonstrate your thought process on the work that you've done is a lot more valuable than, saying I went to RISD necessarily or something like that. It's been a very kind of meandering career, but also it's all been pretty useful and important for shaping who I am as a designer and making me hopefully a little more chill than some of the people that come from like Harvard and are focused on the business aspect of it. I think it helps me communicate with the designers that I work with all the time. In the future, I'll probably be at Microsoft for a fair bit. I've got the golden handcuffs, which is never too bad. But I also really like the team that I work with, and I also like my bosses. So be here for a little while, and plus being able to work remote, because I do work remote all the time, means that even if I decide to move to a different city or something like that, I'll probably stay at Microsoft, at least for a little while.